Thank you for joining us back. It's time to review the front pages of our national dailies and get to see what made it there. And we'll start off with Daily Trust, tax laws altered. That's on pages 3 and 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Tinubu to present 2026 budget to National Assembly tomorrow, and that's on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper if you want more on that story. Gunmen kill 12 miners in Plateau. That's on page 12 of the Daily Trust newspaper. President replaces NMDPRA NUPRC bosses. That's on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Court stops police from enforcing tinted glass permit, and that's on page 12 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Labour demands improved security and welfare, and that's on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper if you want more on that story. And lastly, we have multiple explosions rock Auchi. That's on page 15 of the Daily Trust newspaper. If you want more on those headlines, do want to grab yourself a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper to stay informed.
All right, next up, we have the Punch newspaper right in front. Petrol war fallout. NMDPRA, NUPRC bosses resign as Dangote petition rocks sector. Downstream tension grows as marketers fear business collapse. Experts say oil new regulators may feel threatened by Dangote. That's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. We have Burkina Faso frees detained Nigerian soldiers in aircraft. That's on page 15 of the Punch newspaper. Insecurity, federal government and NLC to meet in January. That's on page 2 of the Punch. 4 investors push for Lagos-Calabar highway concession. That's on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. We have salaries, debt service, gulp 105% of government revenue. That's on page 9 of the Punch. We have JAM to accredit 1,039 CBT centres for 2026 UTME. That's on page 3. Fresh storm brews of a new tax law. That's on page 3 of the Punch. The federal government bans wood export, revokes licences. That's on page 15 as well. Malami kicks after EFCC raids Kebbi in Abuja homes. That's on page 7 if you want more details. Ogun government orders fresh Awujale selection process. That's on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. That's all on there. Make sure you grab yourself a copy and stay informed.
Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper this morning. We have tax reforms pushback, revenue crisis, threatening 2026 fiscal plan. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. NMDPRA, Dangote face of Tinubu's peaks replacements as Farouk Komolafe resign. That's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Reps probe FIRS France MOU on tax administration. That's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. At nationwide protest, NLC demands prosecution of financiers and to insecurity, and that's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Fault lines threaten constitutional reforms consensus as reps vote today. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Again, court ask IGP to suspend tinted glass policy, and that's on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. And also we have reps legalize Beaver's e-transaction of results, and that's on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. SGF suspends enforcement on alcohol sachet, PET bottles ban, and that's on page 28 of the Guardian newspaper. NDIC, why we revoke house sale contract with Senator Bunza. That's on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. And lastly, Nigeria, Central Europe launch new chamber to promote trade investment. That's on business, and that's on page 18 of the Guardian newspaper. If you want more on the headlines, do want to grab yourself a copy of the Guardian newspaper to stay informed.
Now joining us to review some of the headlines of the pages of today's national dailies is Editor-in-Chief Dateline Nigeria newspaper, Nasiru Lawal. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. It's
good morning. All right, right in front of Daily Trust, it's very glaring, and we've heard a lot of talks, controversies, and the way I would say Nigerians still don't understand what it is tax laws altered. Now, the complaints of discrepancies that in the tax reform that's supposed to take place in 2026. So what are your thoughts on it, and how do you think it is going to pan out in the long run?
Well, already people are talking about the fact that, so many people seem not to know much about the impending tax regime. And then here we are with new development, members of the National Assembly coming out to say that the law that was gazetted by the president, is essentially different from the ones that they passed. And if that is the case, honestly, I see this as a case of more of forgery, and it is something that is likely going to cost the government in reputational terms, because people may begin to lose trust in government. Anytime the government says anything, they will think probably they are not saying the truth. So honestly, I'm happy that the Speaker of the House of Reps has promised to, investigate and see at what point, we ended up with two different bills or documents, so to say. Because if you look at it, honestly, some are trying to make the argument that it may be due to maybe at the point of editing, or some typographical errors. Honestly, I don't think that is the case, because we are not talking about, like, for instance, to say the word arranged, being turned to arranged or something like that.
This is quite glaring because,
different.
yes, we have an example here right on the newspaper. For one, what the House of Representatives passed, they said the tax authority shall have the power to investigate or cause an investigation to be conducted to ascertain any violation of any tax law, whether or not such violation has been reported to the relevant tax authority. And that is the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill 2025. Now, the official gazette says the tax authority shall have the power to investigate or cause an investigation to be conducted to ascertain any violation of any tax law, whether or not such violation has been reported to the relevant tax authority. That is where that one stopped. And shall also have the power to arrest any person suspected of committing such violations through relevant law enforcement agencies. So that is, an increase in what they already signed.
Yeah.
The discrepancies are quite glaring. So that means if this tax administration bill is gone through, a lot of discrepancies will be seen.
Yeah, well, actually the problem is, the fact that if you are giving the tax, administrators the power to arrest, people, when you have other agencies of government having that responsibility, I think it's too much power for them. And then you are also talking about in some of the newspapers that reported it, you are even talking about the garnishee order, which they can do it without even resort to, to the judges and what have you. So honestly, if that is the case, but I think the National Assembly should find a way of finding out at what point, the document was actually changed, because probably what the president, assented to is what the leaders of the National Assembly gave them. Is it the leaders of the National Assembly that are responsible for this alteration? Is it at the presidency that, the alteration took place? This is what Nigerians will want to find out, because, like I said, this is something that has to do with forgery.
Yes.
And if you are talking about forgery at the highest level, honestly, we should find a way of getting to the bottom of it, so that whoever is responsible is punished.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at this headline, a controversial one. Tinubu replaces NMDPRA and NUPRC bosses. Now, we have seen the exit of two regulators, which is the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Engineer Farouk Ahmed, and also the CEO of Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Gbenga Komolafe. And there has been, a lot of back and forth concerning, some people hailing Farouk Ahmed for resigning and doing the right thing, and investigations should be halted. Why some people are calling for, the continuity of this investigation to make sure that, at the end of the day, we get transparency and clarity concerning this case. So what is your take on this particular matter?
Well, I think this saga, has brought so many things to the front burner. Even the way we are fighting corruption in this country, somehow it took a billionaire, like people are saying, to, blow a whistle to say that this regulator may not be doing his things according to the law. And he's asking for investigation and what have you. Probably if the regulator has not in any way threatened his 20 billion naira dollar refinery, maybe we wouldn't have heard about this. But now that we are here, I think the investigation should continue, and it shouldn't be just about Farouk. This is about Nigeria and public office holders. Because, like, if you have a military general, for instance, you can go into the books and find out exactly what he has earned from his commissioning to the day of his retirement. So where are people getting all the billions, all the money, that they are, you see, affluence and what have you? Where are they getting the money from? So at this point, maybe you even begin to understand why the EFCC not long ago, asked members of the National Assembly to help it with a law about unexplained wealth, because people are living way beyond their means.
Absolutely.
But maybe the National Assembly members may not want to do it because they will also
be part of it.
Be part of it. So honestly, if we are serious about fighting corruption, we should go beyond the fact that Dangote has made this allegation. We should go to the extent of starting to look at the lifestyle of so many of our public office holders. The ones that cannot explain, their lifestyle, honestly, it's either they forfeit, the money, or we find a way of prosecuting them, because right now we have so many hospitals that are, without any form of medicine and what have you. We have schools that, are just like mere buildings. Nothing is happening there. So if we are able to get this money, to put it into the system, maybe some things will begin to change. But like I said, this investigation should not just stop because Farouk has resigned. Because right now we are not even sure he resigned on his own. Probably he was forced by the president to resign, because the president may not want to start dealing with all the backlash and what have you. He has already made, nominations for replacements, and we'll see what the members of the National Assembly will do in that regard. But if you look at it, even those that are now being nominated, what their track record, so that we don't end up with things like, because these are people that have been working in the oil sector, all their life. So, and this is the same thing that happened with Farouk. So honestly, I think we should find a way of, checkmating them right from the moment of, giving them the nod to hold that office.
All right. Now let's look at this headline on the Punch newspaper. Burkina Faso frees detained Nigerian soldiers and aircraft. We've seen the back and forth when it comes to it. We've heard different things that went on, and at last, now they have been released, and the aircraft as well. We saw, I believe, a picture of them when they were released. So what is your take on it, and what do you think happened, and what kind of dialogue would have happened for them to get that release and that understanding that yes, it is not, they are not a threat to Burkina Faso?
Well, Burkina Faso decided to release the soldiers and the aircraft, probably because they have established the fact that, it was not there for any sinister plot and what have you. And it's good that the Nigerian government has followed this up diplomatically, and we now have our soldiers and our aircraft back, to their families and maybe to the system, because this is where we even need their services. Because so many people have argued, why should they even be in Burkina Faso? But I saw the federal government trying to explain that they had nothing to do with the development in Benin Republic. Actually, they were on their way to Portugal or somewhere, and they developed, an emergency, and they had to land in Burkina Faso. But, with the present situation in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, I think it's a very tricky issue. We need to find a way of tackling it so that it doesn't get out of hand. Right now, if we allow Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso to continue to remain outside the fold of ECOWAS, we may end up with other countries trying to, follow
break
their own.
Because
they will think, even if ECOWAS is to maybe suspend us, we have another association which we can join, and then continue with our lives. So it's good that Nigeria has followed this up diplomatically, and I hope we will not see a repeat of something like this again.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the Guardian. This headline, again, court ask IGP to suspend a tinted glass policy, has echoed on other front pages of our national dailies this morning. I mean, we have had, the issues, the controversies concerning the tinted glass policy, and the court halting it, and Nigerians even complaining about, certain things, the payment, the renewals, the private account numbers, and what have you. So what is your view concerning this?
Well, I don't know why the police are actually rushing, to enforce the tinted ban issue, because we have so many other security challenges.
Absolutely.
Right now, our cities, our streets are without CCTV.
lights.
So how do you even stop, things like kidnapping, abductions, and what have you from taking place? When, like you said, the streets are not even at night. You see, very dark. So why are they so much interested in enforcement of the tinted ban thing? So I think what the police should do, they should allow the court to determine, because that's what they said, that the court did not expressly said that they should not enforce the ban. But that shouldn't be the issue. The issue should be about the law has allowed, so far, Nigerians are not prevented from, using tint permit. If you go to other countries like the United Arab Emirates, for instance, I know they even encourage their people to do it because of the sun and, other things. I know now they are hiding behind insecurity and what have you, but I have not seen how the absence of just tinted glasses will stop our kidnappings and what have you.
Absolutely.
It's just about the police, being up to their game and doing what they are supposed to do.
All right. Thank you very much, Nasir Lawal, for reviewing the front page of our national dailies this morning.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that is all we have right here on Daybreak. Thank you to all our viewers, callers, as well as our guests for contributing so much to the show. I am Hawa Ademikiawa. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. so you don't miss out on engaging and interesting conversations as always. That's all we have on Daybreak.
And I am Mimuna Bagudu. Do well to follow us on all of our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more exciting programs. To have a great day and stay safe.